If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Redondo Beach, California and the surrounding South Bay area, then hit subscribe so you can stay current in what's happening in Redondo Beach. My name is David Coe. I have lived in Redondo Beach for over 30 years and been a realtor for the last 20. Myself and my team at the Coe Real Estate Group, we love to help people navigate the move here to Redondo Beach. And whether that's 9 days or 900 days away for you, we would love to be connected with you. All of our contact info is in the description, and we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Redondo Beach or the South Bay area. Hey everyone, David Coe, the Coe Real Estate Group. Hey, welcome back to our YouTube channel where we love to talk about things that affect homeowners, especially here in the Los Angeles area. Today, I've got my guest here is Helen Fowler, and Helen's company does something that's really unique and something that's pretty new in the condo space. So there's been some new laws regarding, things that you have to do if you have balconies or external structures on condos, and Helen's company specializes in it. So Helen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So give us a little bit of info about your company and who you are and what you guys do.
Sure. So I'm Helen. I'm with One Structural. I'm the director of business development and sales. And our company specializes in engineering and construction, mainly for multifamily properties and HOAs. So we work a lot with condo communities, board members, property managers, as well as landlords and their apartment buildings for structural work, state or city mandates, stuff like seismic retrofitting, and everything related to SB 721 and SB 326, the famous balcony laws or balcony bills.
Let's start off with that one, because that's the one that is, probably the one that's getting the most attention in the industry. Talk about, first of all, why they passed the law, and just kind of be like, what are some of the parameters of the law?
Yeah, so SB 721 and SB 326, they were passed in 2019, took effect in 2020, and they were created because a few years back in UC Berkeley, the unfortunate event happened of a balcony collapsing and several students lost their lives. This was due to a lot of issues with the structural framing, such as dry rot that can happen from water intrusion and other factors. So the state created these laws in order to require and mandate that all buildings, all multifamily properties across the state with 3 units or more have their exterior elevated elements inspected. Stuff like balconies, walkways, decks, stairways, landings.
And I think in the presentation I heard, it has to be 6 feet or higher above ground. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. 6 feet or higher and wood framed. So anything steel and concrete is exempt unless it connects to a wood framed element like a walkway. So those areas of the connection would be inspected. But this applies to wood framed elements 6 feet or more above grade.
Okay. And like, what percentage of those kinds of buildings in California are wood frame? Like 80% of them?
Yeah, I would say at least, or they have a combo of them. I mean, the most of what we see are wood framed. It's only high rises that are usually concrete. Sometimes they're mixed construction with wood and concrete or CMU. But the majority of multifamily properties, especially your 2-story properties, 3-story, sometimes 4, are wood framed buildings.
Yeah, I mean, we're builders as well, and the pricing on construction when you go from wood to any type of steel goes up significantly. So, we go out of our way to look for projects where we don't have to use steel, and certainly concrete's even more complicated.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so you guys have been at this for a while. Obviously, I know that there's a portion where you have to go in and do destructive testing to check these things out. And then you also have to come back and re-inspect them like over a certain period of times. Kind of talk about what that process looks like, and specifically what you and your company do to help, these different buildings become.
Sure. So one of the main differences between SB 721 and SB 326, 721 applies to apartment buildings, 326 applies to HOAs and condos. One of the main difference is that SB 721, the cycle for reinspection is every 6 years. For SB 326 for condos, it's every 9 years. That this inspection has to happen. And that's the main difference between them. Regarding the inspection methods, they're the same, except for with apartments in 721, the requirement is that 15% of each element type must get inspected. So that's 15%
Mhm.
of the total number of balconies, 15% of the landings, 15% of the walkways. Whereas for SB 326 with condos, the law states something about a 95% certainty. So most inspectors will inspect practically all elements in order to have a confidence level that everything they inspected is representative of the community. So for condos and HOAs, almost every balcony or walkway or stairways getting inspected, and it involves we would do a visual inspection first. So we're using, of course, our eyes, infrared, moisture meters. We're checking the waterproofing deck systems, your railing, the connections, any signs of water intrusion on the underside. So we're checking all of that visually. And for as needed, we are doing then the minimally invasive part of the inspection, which involves doing a borehole on the underside of that element and inserting an endoscopic camera in order to see the rest of the load-bearing components, which are your floor joists that are running through the unit, which is the support system of your balcony. So the endoscopic camera, at least it allows us to rule out structural damage. It doesn't give you the full picture of the extent of the damage, but it at least confirms or rules out if there's any structural damage there if we were to see a crack on the surface.
So I assume if the camera shows there is damage, then you have to go further and actually open it up even wider, which you're going to have to do anyway, because if there's structural damage, you have to repair it. When you find actual damage, like what does the process in fixing something like that? What has to be done?
Right. So that is where destructive testing would become an option. If we do find that there is damage, but the waterproofing system on top still looks okay, we would recommend destructive testing from the underside, which is removing a lot of the stucco underneath, usually for the entirety of the length of that balcony. We would remove that strip of stucco, usually about 1 foot wide, in order to expose all the joists and see kind of the percent of damage that's there. Times that I don't recommend the destructive testing is when the waterproofing system or the deck surface on the top is already in terrible condition. You know that that's the culprit and the problem, and there's really no saving it. Then if that has to be removed and demolished anyways, you might as well basically propose a new waterproofing system that's going to be demoed, which is the time that we'll be able to see all of the exposed joists and know the exact structural repairs needed instead of doing it on both sides. So that's usually the steps. If there is a very slight damage, just maybe one small area of water intrusion and the surface is salvageable, then we could propose maybe a more intermediate or early type of waterproofing system that involves just resurfacing without doing any types of destructive testing or full removal. So there's different levels of waterproofing systems that we would propose based on the damage or lack thereof.
I would assume most of the repairs you're doing are to the balconies, but are you also seeing as like an equal amount of damage to stairwells and other elements of buildings?
Oh yeah, definitely. Stairways, I mean, they have so much foot traffic, so we are seeing a lot of problems with the treads, the risers, the stringers, basically all components of a stairway. Walkways as well, because those are common use areas. So they also get the most foot traffic. So we're seeing a lot of walkway resurfacing, walkway deck replacement, a lot of issues with the joists and beams there. And luckily, we're also seeing communities that didn't have as much deferred maintenance. So as long as they're keeping up with their maintenance, doing the routine resurfacing that they should be doing, it's not always terrible news. But unfortunately, we do see a lot of deferred maintenance, which does cause a lot of problems with these areas.
I know this has been a hot topic with condos, and it's affecting the value of condos. There's multiple things. Interest rates are certainly having an effect on condos. Just the amount of supply. As of last month, we had almost a 9-month supply of condos available in Los Angeles County versus only a 4-month supply of homes. And I think this is one of many elements that are coming into this. If you're buying a condo or selling a condo, banks won't give you a loan unless they know the association has passed this inspection and in repairs have been done, or at least they're planning to be done and they're funded. Talk a little bit about how you're seeing this impact the value of condos and the saleability of condos across, our city.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say that that's kind of the phase that we're in now. Of course, there is many landlords or communities that haven't even done the inspection yet, but the majority have. And that's the phase we're at right now. We're getting calls weekly from lenders, agents, brokers that their condo is getting stuck in escrow because of these pending inspections or the pending repairs. So it is causing a lot of problems. We've heard that Fannie Mae has blacklisted a lot of communities from getting any type of lending because they either A, haven't done their inspection yet, or what we're seeing most is B, the inspection report has flagged a lot of issues for repairs and the community haven't done it yet or hasn't done it yet. So that's where we're at now, trying to assist boards and property management companies with preparing, I would say, like a repair plan for what are the most urgent items, what are just maintenance, what can wait, what needs to be addressed now, and helping them get through these. Otherwise, again, sales have fallen, condos haven't been able to even get their asking price, or they've had to do cash buyers at a significantly less amount.
Yeah, and it's also along the lines. A lot of the lenders are changing the reserve requirements for these condo associations. So that's how much money you have to have saved up, in your HOA budget. Well, if you've got this lengthy amount of repairs, that's going to eat into your reserves, which means you have to raise your HOA dues.
Right.
And a lot of people can't afford that. So these associations are kind of stuck in a bit of, between a rock and a hard place where they need to raise more capital within the association dues so they can adequately take care and meet all the different requirements that the state's imposing, but the owners can't afford it. And if they try to sell, they can't sell for value because the property isn't worth as much because they haven't actually done the work they were supposed to do. It's going to take some time to figure this out. I think ultimately until rates come down, I keep telling you, first-time home buyers, if you're looking for a deal right now in LA, look at condos. There's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot that you guys, I know you guys have done a lot of repairs. A lot of them are being properly maintained, but they're just being drugged down by this increase in supply in the general condo market.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing that a lot, and I guess it's both. It is a good time to buy a condo. You may get a better deal. However, I would definitely check with your real estate professionals that you're working with to see those inspection reports, ensure that the repairs have gotten done, or if not, what are they going to cost? Let's see some contractor bids for these repairs and see if it's something that the entire HOA can do in a healthy way financially.
I think when I was first starting, we would do so much investigation on the condo unit. We wouldn't look at the HOA as much. Now it's the opposite. You almost need to start by looking at the HOA and the strength of the HOA and whether they've hit all their state mandates. And then you look at the unit, because if the unit's broken, that's something that's easy to fix. If the condo association's broken, you can't fix that as a buyer. And it's just time where you have to kind of cut bait and move on.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Helen, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for spending some time today. If you're out there and you're looking for a condo, please work with someone like myself who's aware of these issues. And if you own a condo or a part of an association and you need to do your inspections or you've got repairs that need to be done, I highly recommend Helen and her team. They specialize in this, and that's what you want, our specialists. So, Helen, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Of course. Happy to be here. Thank you again for having me.
Great. Well, if you watch and you like the show, please subscribe down below, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks so much.